Hey guys, I found a video of James Klug who went out on the streets of Las Vegas and simply asked people, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? And he listened to their answers. Most of the people he spoke to gave him an answer and were very polite, but there were a couple of very interesting people. One in particular who I'd like to focus on because this family, husband and wife, are the epitome of the delusional Kamala Harris voter, especially the guy. He is the poster child of the Dunning-Kruger effect. He claims to have been an educator for 40 years, and yet nothing he said really proves it. He tells falsehood after falsehood about Trump and about Kamala Harris. But what's really interesting is to watch and see his behavior, his body language, which shows that he's acting like he's speaking with righteous indignation about things that he's totally wrong about. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell, and smack the like button because it helps us spread our message to more people. All right, so James Klug went around the streets of Las Vegas and asked people, indiscriminate people, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? And the responses are pretty interesting.
Trump or Kamala Harris?
Oh, f***ing Donald Trump, what the f*** that bitch? That bitch is f***ing...
Should we be voting policy or should we be voting because of somebody's skin color? What do you think?
Policy, but it also drew me in with her being part of my race.
So should it be policy or skin color? And she said policy, and then she said, but what drew me in was she's my race.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came in office and put that vaccine out.
That's the guy that I want to focus on.
So let's stop playing.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. We are in Las Vegas to find out who Americans are voting for. This should be interesting. Let's go talk to some people. You're voting Donald Trump.
Good job.
Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Definitely Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. There's no way I'd vote for Kamala Harris.
Donald J. Trump, baby.
Ma'am? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, okay. So you guys are in the perfect attire. We got the Kamala Harris merch right here.
Absolutely.
We voting for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Are you kidding? Kamala Harris.
Definitely Kamala Harris.
In the house, yes.
Why is that? Why are we voting for Kamala Harris?
Well, number one, she talks about what we've lived. I'm an educator some 40 years, and what we've lived is lifting people up, not tearing them down. And he seems to specialize in that.
Really? So making everybody's wallets fatter, lifting people up, that wasn't a part of his first term? Of course it was, but this guy's blind.
Tearing people down, and I am the absolute opposite.
Yeah, he's the absolute opposite of tearing people down. And watch, he goes to try to tear people down.
And he epitomizes everything that I've stood against and everything that I've trained and worked with my students to do. And that is to lift up one another and to achieve greatness and great heights and be told that they can always do well and do the best and be the best.
The guy doesn't even know how to ad-lib.
Yeah. And you guys, she's obviously been heavily involved in the Biden administration. What was your favorite accomplishment of hers as Vice President of the United States?
As Vice President of the United States, she was bold enough to go to the border and tell people to stay home.
She waited for months. He was embarrassed on TV by Lester Holt, who said, you didn't go to the border. And she said, I didn't go to Europe either.
People forget that. and in fact, more so, there are a lot of people who are misinformed, and there's a lot of misinformed.
And the one is talking.
Misinformation going around. And so let's set the record straight, if I may. And that is, Trump didn't give you a dime, people. That was the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration that gave you $2,300 and $1,500. No one else.
He has pandemic stimulus payments were issued mid-April 2020 and December 2020 under President Trump. So he's wrong there.
Stop playing.
And yet he's acting like he's an authority on the issue.
This is not a game.
That is Dunning-Kruger.
I got a question for you. When it comes to the border, Kamala Harris overlooking the border, telling them not to come, that is seemingly more of a sore subject when it comes to this administration. worst border crisis in American history. And when she visited the border, she didn't visit the spot where the border crisis was happening.
That's right. She went about 50 miles away from where any activity was happening at the border.
What are your thoughts about that? Is that something to tout for this for Kamala Harris when this is the worst border crisis in American history that we've seen under this administration? What do you think?
And more misinformation. And from you. That's funny.
Wait,
let's make it clear.
Yeah.
All right.
Clarify.
Just so you understand.
I don't think that was misinformation.
The Biden administration inherited that border crisis. You remember the one that Trump said that he was going to build a big wall? I think he made it about 5 feet.
Actually, Trump got done about 458 miles of border wall, and he wanted to continue until he finished, but Congress gave him such a hard time for funding, and the Democratic Party was relentless, calling it racist and everything that these chuckleheads here would say about it.
Not just
that's a lot more than 5 feet, guys.
that it was so garbage that I think I could have made it through that wall. All I had to do was just open the door.
He's talking at his ass right now.
But not just that. It was also done in a situation where they were advocating, not just advocating, but they also had a bill that they were going to strengthen the border. And in fact, that bill didn't even come from them. It came from Congress.
See, he's talking about the border bill that Kamala keeps touting. And they're saying that it was the strongest border bill ever. And that Donald Trump called people in Congress. Trump has already said, I didn't call anybody in Congress. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And no members of Congress have come forward and said, yeah, he called me. You know, I mean, someone would have come forward. It would have leaked somehow that Trump called someone.
And they were with the bill, prepared to sign. They negotiated and everything else.
That's not true. That's not true, guys. There was so many bad things in that bill. For one thing, it allowed, they said that the lie was the Democrats said it allowed, if it was over 5,000 people a day coming over, that the president would create an emergency order that would shut the border down. Actually, it was 8,000 per day. They lied about that. It was 5,000 per day if it went 5,000 per day for 4 days straight. But it was actually 8,000 a day. And then another thing that they forgot to tell everybody was that in the bill, it said that the president, for any reason at any time whatsoever, that he could end that emergency order. So what's this guy talking about?
And guess what? Donald Trump called up all his buddies and said, don't vote for it because I want them to seem like failures. Guess what?
Mind if I ask it?
They're not. They're not failures. And in fact,
see, this is what Democrats do. They came out and said, well, Donald Trump didn't want to make it look like it was a good thing that the Biden administration did. Even if Donald Trump did make the phone call, which he didn't call anyone. He said it multiple times. I didn't call anyone. I don't know what they're talking about. But they're saying that because they heard that the bill would have been disastrous. But you got to understand, every bill the Democrats put out strengthened their own power.
When Donald Trump
how did they inherit the border crisis?
Donald
if you don't mind me asking,
refused to put out that vaccine for the coronavirus.
You see how he just segued over to the vaccines?
Virus and killed some 658,000 people.
Vaccinations in the United States began on December 14th, 2020. Trump was still president.
My friends that I went to college with also included. When that happened, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came in office and put that vaccine out. So let's stop playing.
Yeah, let's stop lying, dude. I mean, he just made it seem like the vaccines didn't come out under Trump when they were out fully a few months before the Biden-Harris administration took over.
This is not a game, and guess
what? No, you're making it a game, you jackass.
What, this is about lives?
Do you mind if I touch on the border crisis, though?
You tried, and I got it.
No.
You hear him? And I got you. You see, this is one of those libnuts that makes his arguments with bombastic language. And then when somebody says, well, you know what, I want to ask you a couple questions about that, he wants to run away. Watch this.
Wait, how did they inherit it? Yeah, how did they inherit it?
They inherited because
the border crisis.
How long have people been coming across the border?
But under Trump's administration,
long
they were
have
seeing
people
a
been coming-
50-year low of border crossings,
That's
and then
absolutely
jumped
true.
8 times as much. So
You hear the guy laughing in the background, but he can't counter it because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been bullshitting the whole time.
Lie.
that's a lie?
Yeah.
Why is that a lie?
Well,
That
let
is
me
a
finish.
flat-out lie. I'm
Let me
sorry.
finish. Let's just
That's
be
actually
clear.
it's actually not a lie. That's a fact.
That's a lie.
Let's just be clear.
Your facts are lies.
During the Trump
No,
administration,
you know where I got that fact from?
That's the reason why people don't really
I
want to
do.
vote for
Who's
Harris
with you?
because men disrespect women.
Well, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm,
so
I'm
when
trying
I
to.
try to
I'm just trying to get one point out.
Yeah, okay.
That's
He
what,
walks
that's
away.
it. Yeah.
So now he's going to talk to a couple of people that are Trump supporters, but they're able to give real reasons why they're against Kamala.
Yeah. Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Oh, fucking Donald Trump with the that bitch. That bitch is a fucking
Why no? Why no to Kamala?
bro. She's been in office for fucking four years and she hasn't done shit.
Outside of his King's English, he actually makes a point. She's been in office for 4 years and she hasn't done anything.
What's she done?
I had somebody telling me that she did a great job with the border crisis. What do you think about that?
Ha! What the f?
18 to 20 million illegals she let through, as the borders are, and she did a great job. Come on.
No. I disagree.
Excuse me, miss. Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Trump.
Love her.
Harris. Harris? Yep. Why is that?
Because I'm a Democrat, man, lifelong.
Canadian, but Kamala all the way.
Trump.
Donald Trump. Definitely Kamala.
Donald Trump. Are we doing Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
You're Donald Trump.
Watch
Why
out.
are we doing Donald Trump? Why are we voting for Donald Trump?
Because I had more money in my pocket when Donald Trump was president. I don't care about the politics.
Thank you.
I'm about having money in my pocket.
Yeah. So your dollar was getting you further under Trump than this administration.
Now,
Love
I
her.
try to keep like an unbiased approach. And I say, okay, if I would vote for Kamala, why would I vote for her? Other than the fact that she's a black woman.
Is that a good reason to vote for Kamala because she's black?
No, it's not.
Why do you say so?
She hasn't done anything as a vice president, so why would I trust her as a president?
Thank you.
So when it comes to the economy, you're trusting Donald Trump to handle the economy over Kamala Harris.
Yes, he's a billionaire.
That's fair enough. What would you say to somebody that's on the fence about who they're voting for?
I don't know, because this is actually my first time voting, so
No way.
Imagine that. First time voting, and she's going to vote for Trump. She'll never forget that the rest of her life.
I would just say go with your gut. You know what
My first time voting, I voted for Reagan.
I mean? I really don't.
We've heard people say, "Hey, Trump's racist." Is that BS?
I feel like most of the presidents were racist, so that really doesn't hold any weight with me. I mean, you know?
I guess if you have more money in your pocket, I don't care what's going on with whoever's leading the country. If it's better for me and my family and those around me, great.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump's racist.
I don't either. I think it's just another way for them
Love
to throw
her.
us off.
The election's obviously coming up. Who are you voting for?
Definitely Donald Trump,
Why Donald Trump?
because you look where we were 4 years ago when he was president to where we are now, not even close.
There you go. And now we're going to go back to the original family that I've been focusing on.
Wait,
I'll
so
just say
please get
this.
I just want to point out that the woman is the stronger of the two in the couple because the guy, he hightailed out of there.
your yeah. Please.
During the Biden and Harris administration, they have those people who crossed the border and got separated from their children. They made sure that they got placed to where they're supposed to be placed with their parents.
You kidding me?
Some of them
300,000 were lost.
were not placed because they were separated or they couldn't find their parents. But Trump didn't
Oh,
do
he
that.
hits
He
her
was
with
what
it.
caused the problem. Harris is the one.
You hear the husband screaming from far away because he wants to get he can't help himself. He has to get his words in, but he's not coming close enough to be held up to scrutiny with question. Typical libnut.
Biden
The separation was not Donald Trump's policy.
it happened during his administration.
It was already in place. He actually ended that by executive order.
No, he didn't end it.
The family
I mean,
separation.
Guys, of course he ended it. He signed the executive order that ended it.
If there's if he ended, then why are you now saying that there's a problem now? He didn't end border crisis. If that's the case,
He didn't say he ended the border crisis, which he did. I mean, Trump did pretty much end legal immigration as best as could be done. But what he was talking about was the kids in cages. And she knows that, but she went on to a different
you wouldn't be
point.
saying there's a problem now.
You were just talking about family separation, and now we're talking about the border
During
crisis.
the border crisis, yes.
Okay.
Don't you remember all those families that
Right.
were
How do you talk to people like this when they can't keep things straight?
The numbers that we're seeing right now are, we've never seen numbers like this in the history of the United States.
She just doesn't want to admit that she's wrong. That's what's going on here.
People are coming across. No president have ended it. Not Trump, not Biden, not Obama.
But you can't make an argument like that because Donald Trump had remained in Mexico. He had deals with other countries in South America. He had Mexico put like 10,000 federale troops down on Guatemala's border to block them from coming into Mexico. He had built the wall in the areas that needed it. He wasn't done, but he was finishing it. Joe Biden ended it day one. And the fact of the matter is that it got 18 to 20 million worth into the country through the last 4 years. You can't compare the two.
Not Bush. So it's not just their problem, it's our problem.
Right.
Okay? So when are we going to do something about it?
Well,
you keep
the reason
presidents and stuff when they have to be.
Well, they undid policy that was working, that we found about a 45, 50-year low on illegal crossings at the southern border.
Not necessarily.
According to Customs and Border Protection.
You have to understand, during that time is during the pandemic.
Oh, my goodness. What about before the pandemic when he shut the border down?
Yeah. Before that was even low.
Oh yeah, during Obama's administration. Yes, I'll agree with that.
Oh yeah, no, Obama did great too, but Trump did. But Trump continued that, and they implemented effective policy that got it really under control. One would be the Remain in Mexico agreement. It was.
I would say that Donald Trump pretty much ended the illegal immigration crisis that this country has been through the last 30 years.
With those families that came across and they were separated, that was not during.
We're talking about two different things right now, though. We're talking about the number of crossings versus family separation.
They came across. That's how they got separated. Yeah. Those families came across, and he separated those families.
Oh, that was the Trump administration.
That was Trump.
But that wasn't a Trump policy.
Actually, the Obama administration did it as well because a judge told them that they had to.
Actually, do you mind if I finish? Yeah, of course it does, because he ended family separation by executive order in 2018. So the policy was, when you get arrested, your child doesn't go to jail with you, because if you got arrested, would your child go to jail with you?
No, but
it was the same thing at the border. It was the same thing at the border.
It didn't occur when he separated them during that time.
What do you mean by that?
When the families were coming across, they were separated. They were treated inhumanely, and that was.
They weren't treated oh my God. So the reason why the children were separated, for you lib nuts out there watching this, is because you can't have children. Once people are in custody, okay, they're wards of the state until the state deals with them. They either get adjudicated. I mean, you can't have children in a cell with their parents with other adults that they don't know, some of who could become violent and either intentionally or accidentally harm the children. You can't do that.
During Trump's administration.
You mentioned inhumanely. Right now, the Biden and Harris administration has about 300,000 children that came here illegally that are unaccounted for. Does that seem humane?
Let me ask you
Is that a
Can't
good
find
thing?
them.
Only if you counted them.
Right,
I want to see
right.
your figures. Did you write it down?
I want
Let me
to
see
see.
them.
Listen to this.
Let me see your
those
figures.
numbers
I'm sorry.
I want to see.
Look at the daughter pushing the father away. I mean, think about that. The daughter is more mature than the father.
Those numbers are from the federal government.
I want to see the videos and the videos that we film. Because during
Hey, you can look it up if you like.
during Trump, we saw it.
What was that, ma'am?
We
Sorry.
saw that they were being treated humanely. Where are the people that going over there photographing that or going over there filming that? We don't see that. Anybody
You
can
would
say
describe what's
anything.
happening
It's
right
like
now
the
as
vote.
humane?
Any
300,000 children are probably, they're missing. The Biden administration lost them. Kamala Harris lost them. Okay. So she would think that that's humane.
Anybody who's treated unfairly is inhumane. Yeah. You know what?
Most deaths at the southern border right now?
Was definitely inhumane. And you know everybody got paid for, what is it called? They got paid for
reparations?
Reparations, except for black people. They don't want to even acknowledge it now. And
So now we're on to reparation. Oh my God, these people are all over the planet.
And Kamala Harris, will Kamala Harris give reparations if she wins, do you think?
I don't know.
Is that important to you or no?
Right now, it's not the first thing on the table. You know what's the first thing on the table?
Get rid of Trump.
It's not only that, but it's just...
He's not in office right now.
Well, just making sure
I say
that
get rid of him, take him to jail like everybody else who's a convicted felon.
Sir,
There you go.
the worst border crisis in American history, you guys. So how do we just
Did you see that the little girl waved goodbye? Did you see that? These two chuckleheads actually are raising a decent child.
justify this? The worst border crisis in American history under Biden and Harris.
this is also an inherited thing, and people are coming across the border.
They inherited a 50-year low border crossing.
Suggest that it stops.
Reinstating Trump-era policies, remain in Mexico, getting rid of catch and release.
Reinstating Trump?
Huh?
Does that mean reinstating Trump?
Nope. In 2023, they introduced HR 2 that would have included those policies.
She will come up with something. It really has nothing to do with Biden Harris. It has something to do with what she's going to do. And I believe she's going to stop.
Well, they were the one that undid the policies that were working.
Good Lord. These people, they're hard to take because she's just saying there that if Kamala gets elected, that she's going to fix this problem that Kamala helped create. It's unbelievable, guys.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am.
So what policies have they put in that's going to work or that is working?
They could get rid of catch and release.
Because they didn't just take it out.
Yeah, they did.
It has to be replaced with something.
No, they didn't replace it with anything.
So on week one, really quick, on week one, they reinstated catch and release. They pulled out of the Remain in Mexico agreement. They halted construction of the border wall.
That was all those executive orders. I think the 40 of them that Dementia Joe signed on day one.
And all of that said, okay, great. If you come to the country, you can seek asylum in the country. That's why we ended up with 3 million people entering the country per year.
Well, you know what? A lot of white people are benefiting from it.
And there's the racism. So there you have it, guys. That is your typical Kamala Harris voter. Blames everything that the Biden-Harris administration did on Donald Trump. That they inherited a problem from Trump that Dementia Joe and Heels Up Harris actually created. Now, how do you get through to people like that? How are you able to point out, get it through, that voting for Kamala Harris is voting against your own self-interest? You see, this is what happens when you watch CNN and MSDNC as your primary news sources. Klug mentioned things that are actually documented. They're saying that they're not true. I only pray that there are far more people who are voting on November 5th who are much smarter than the two people we just watched. All right. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell if you want to be kept up to date with the latest news on Democrats suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'll see you in the next one. Spread the word.
From the bottom to the top, I grind every day. No time for haters. I'm here to slay. Stepping on the doubters, no time to rest. I'm like a freight train, I'm the best. Yeah, chasing dreams, no matter what it takes. I'm on fire and there's no breaks.